What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Well, I say welcome back. How about just welcome if you are new around here? This is Redditor Extra, my second channel, I suppose. A much smaller channel than my main channel, of course. There's only a few thousand subscribers on this. But just to briefly explain what I'm doing, why I'm here, I'm trialing something. All right. If you saw yesterday's video on the main channel and you came across from that video, then you would have heard me speak about it briefly over there. But I've had that channel for a very long time now, right? So since February of 2019, it's been through COVID, and then the first half of this entire decade, right? So it's been around for a long time. And the people that have been watching and listening to the videos on there have changed throughout the years. A lot of you have remained, and that's been amazing. But a lot of people, it got really popular throughout COVID and then sort of less popular. Then recently it's got more popular again and there's a different audience. Point being, there's been a lot of people on that channel over the years, a lot of different subscribers. And I think now in 2025, I'm not entirely sure if that is the exact right audience for the content that I'm making, these shorter Reddit videos. Now, the longer videos, the Reddit stories to sleep to, etc., will all remain on that channel because that channel is the place for those videos. Those videos perform really well. But I'm just not quite sure if the shorter, more like day-to-day videos, like this one is going to belong on that channel anymore. So let's just see what happens. I just want to see how this video and others on Redditor Extra perform. By the way, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, don't worry, literally nothing has changed for you at all. But yeah, on YouTube, I'm just trialing this out. So let me know your thoughts. My hope is that those of you that have come over from the main channel to this channel are super engaged and you want to see the videos every day. You want to listen to the stories every single day. And then that in turn should help push the episodes to other people just like you who want this content each and every day, want to listen to shorter stories, not just the 3-hour long ones. So we'll see what happens. As I said, it's just a trial, but for now, this is going to be a normal video. If you're on this channel, just relax. Nothing's changed. If you want to stay subscribed to the other one, absolutely do. I'd recommend just subscribing to both and having notifications on for both. If you like my stuff, that's how you're never going to miss one of my uploads. Simple as that. Without further ado, let's get into a normal Reddit story. Well, I say normal. It's becoming more normal, I suppose. It's another crazy one. Very, very sad, but yeah, let's get into it. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoy. My younger brother passed away 5 years ago, and his ex-roommate stole his Bitcoin afterwards, plus a 4-year update. This was originally posted on September the 8th, 2016. My younger brother passed away nearly 5 years ago from an overdose, which devastated my family at the time. I knew he was into drugs, and I continually warned him about it, but he assured me he had it under control. I couldn't really take the moral high ground anyhow, since he knew I'd also indulged in it myself in my younger days, though that wasn't exactly a secret in my family. I was posted overseas when it happened, and felt some guilt that if I hadn't been away, I would have been able to prevent him being influenced by his circle of friends at the time. But ultimately, I realised I was not my brother's keeper. Afterwards, I assisted my parents with putting his belongings into storage to be sorted out at a later date, and I returned to my job. When my contract ended, I returned home and had the time to sort through some of my brother's things that my parents hadn't looked at yet. Among them was his computer, which I was hoping might have had some photos or other things of interest on it. I managed to salvage a few good pictures and videos, though most of it was of him hanging out with his friends at the time. It was still good to have a few extra memories of him from back then. It was while I was going through the installed programs, I noticed he had Bitcoin software installed. I know he used to buy certain things for himself and his friends online, so it wasn't a surprise to me that he had this. I knew that Bitcoin had gone up in value over the past several years, so part of me hoped he might have had an amount there. But when I ran the Bitcoin program, it said 0 balance. I wasn't too surprised at that, until I looked at the transaction details. There was regular activity there right up until the week before he passed away, and then nothing after that. Until 2 years ago, when the total balance at the time of 147 Bitcoin was transferred out of it. Wait, 147 actual Bitcoins? Legit? Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry guys, I need to interrupt at this moment just so everybody is on the same page here and we can all understand together the levels of money that we're talking about here. Now, if this is true, we're talking insane amounts of money here. Even back then, a lot of money. But now, especially, like a truly ridiculous amount of money. Let me just get the calculator out. Let's go through this and talk about how ridiculous this is. So, right now, today, 147 Bitcoin is worth 16 million US dollars. Over 16 million US dollars, which is quite frankly ridiculous. Now, it's worth mentioning and remembering that this was posted, this post, in September of 2016, and OP's brother passed away 5 years before that. So 2011 is when he last had his Bitcoin, I suppose. But 2 years before OP posted this, so now we're talking in 2014, is when the transfer out of the 147 Bitcoins occurred. So I'm going to work out how much 147 Bitcoin was in dollars, which is crazy, in September of 2014. Right, so roughly in September 2014, the average price, it seems to be around $350, right? Which is crazy compared to what, 13,000, which it is today. So if we do $350 times 147 Bitcoin, we're getting to over $50,000. So that is the amount of money we are talking about here. 51,000 roughly US dollars back in 2014. A lot of money. Not 16 million, by the way. I mean, that just shows, I know we all know about this already, but if you got money into crypto early, and by the way, I'm not pro crypto investing at all. I think it's too risky. I think you're much better off investing your money in safer or relatively safer things like The World in general. Buy The World, good book. I haven't read it, but I like the idea of it. Or Own the World. Going off tangent here, $51,000. That is the amount of money that has been transferred out of OP's brother's account. Let's get back into the story. Right, so now we know how much money we are talking about. Let's get back into the story. OP continues. That transaction out of the account of 147 Bitcoins made no sense to me, unless someone else had a copy of his account or had hacked them from him somehow. But then I checked the history log on the computer, and lo and behold, it had been started up several times on the date the transfer happened. Going back to my parents, I asked them if anyone else had used the computer since they got it back from storage. They remembered that yes, 2 years ago, my brother's old roommate looked them up and asked if they still had his computer and could he use it to get a copy of some files to do with their old rental. They'd let him use it for a couple of hours and he left afterwards and hadn't heard from him since. I looked him up on social media, and from his post history, it seems like he suddenly came into some serious money, judging from the purchases and activities he was involved with at around the same time. Remember guys, roughly $50,000 this is. So where do I go from here? Well, the evidence strongly points to him having stolen the Bitcoin, but what are my options? Do I confront him directly, and do I have anything to stand on? My parents went through a lot over the years, and it would be good if I could at least give them back something for all their blood, sweat and tears. And I know it's what my brother would have wanted. Okay, let's get into the comments right away. My initial thought here is that this is just stealing. It's illegal. Something can definitely be done here. Somebody said, number 1, get in contact with a lawyer immediately. Number 2, do your parents still have the message where he asked to use the computer? Security footage when he was at your house? Anything is useful here. If you don't have it, see what your lawyer thinks about this idea. Something along the lines of, contact him and ask if he used your brother's computer about 2 years ago when he was deceased, and make sure it's on paper. Number 3, was the computer password protected? Number 4, post the address that the coins were sent to. Maybe some Bitcoiners can help try and find out which exchange he's used to cash out. Then we can try and contact the exchange for extra help. Hopefully, this guy has sold his Bitcoin through an exchange where he was verified with his passport or address, and then I think you'll have a solid case. Also, edit here, you need to act fast. This guy might be reading this subreddit and he might come across this post. Good luck. Yeah, I mean, that is a very good point. People that back in the day were dealing with Bitcoin and, you know, maybe the dark web for who knows what, they're probably going to be on Reddit, let's be realistic. OP replied saying, I appreciate the quick response. I will answer in point form. 1, I'd like to avoid legal if possible due to what my brother was using them for and also the cost. Not ruling it out later though. 2, there was no password set. 3, I will post an update with the address information when I have it. Since it looks likely he did cash it out, I really hope you're right about him having done it somewhere he can be tracked. Somebody else said, good luck with legal pursuit of action in this circumstance. There's a reason why Bitcoin is used on the darknet market. Yeah, I mean, that is true. And that is, I suppose, one of the reasons why it's not been taken on by many governments is that the reason why it's good is also a reason why it's really, really bad and potentially very dangerous. OP said, that is my only concern with this if we do pursue this legally. I know my brother was using them for less than legal purchases at the time, which could be linked back to the Bitcoins. Somebody else though said, and I think this is a great point, what are they going to do? Arrest your brother? The worst case scenario would be to seize the Bitcoin, which I doubt would happen. I suppose OP is thinking he doesn't want his parents to find out. But then again, do your parents not already know that he died from an overdose and obviously therefore was taking drugs? I suppose they don't know necessarily that he was the one buying them or that he did them regularly or anything like that. That's the only logical reason I can think as to not get the police involved. I would 100% though get the police, get a lawyer involved. Okay, so next up we got a mini update actually on the same day. Just an update, says OP. I was sent a PM from a fairly notable individual in this subreddit with an offer to help, which I've accepted based on his history and reputation here. You may have guessed, by the way, this was originally posted on r/Bitcoin back in 2016. On his advice, I will be collecting the computer from my parents' place later today instead of the weekend, so we can jump on this ASAP due to this now being out in the open. He's also using his connections to get a free legal opinion from someone qualified in this area. I can't say much else until I hear back from them, but I'll be sure to provide further details as soon as I'm able. For now, I just want to thank the community in r/Bitcoin for all the kind words and advice you've given. It's people like you who restore my faith in humanity after experiencing idiots like my brother's ex-roommate. Now, interestingly, many people were skeptical of the unknown Redditor's assistance. For example, this person who said, trust nobody, especially people who privately send you mail. Regardless of what their reputation is, they might F you over. It's happened in the past plenty enough times. It makes me wonder, if this person has such a great reputation, why aren't they coming out in the open? I understand the sentiment there. I would probably disagree with that. I imagine if they are a well-respected member of this subreddit, they've helped people out before and there's evidence of that. Also, what could they possibly be looking to gain from this? Like, the money's gone. The money potentially is only ever going to go to you or your parents because it's your brother's Bitcoin. I suppose if the Bitcoin was still lying around somewhere, this random person could potentially try and steal it. I don't think so. I think they're genuinely trying to help. I would definitely utilize this person. Obviously, use your own thinking, but yeah, it seems legit to me. I don't know why people are worrying that much, although I do agree with the general sentiment. And then 4 years ago, the entire reason that I am making this episode or able to read this story out with a great conclusion, we get this update. So this was posted on February the 20th, 2021, 4.5 years after the original post. 4 years ago, I posted about how the ex-roommate of my brother, who tragically passed away, took advantage of my parents to gain access to his computer after he died and stole his Bitcoin stash. I originally posted to the relationship sub, but was quickly directed to repost to the Bitcoin sub to see if anyone there could offer any advice. Soon after doing that, I was privately approached by a credible individual from this group with an offer of assistance, which myself and my parents accepted. Through their network of contacts, we received expert technical advice and forensic analysis at absolutely no cost whatsoever, and legal representation that truly understood the issue at hand and was prepared to work on a no-win, no-fee basis. We owe all these people a massive debt of gratitude for what they've been able to achieve for us here, and this has finally come to a conclusion in these last few weeks. Yeah, so pretty much I was right. Like, you're not going to get someone trying to scam you when there's nothing to even scam, and people on Reddit especially are very helpful, and I maintain if this guy had some history of helping other people, then yeah, go for him, and clearly it was the right decision. Anyway, the analysis of the computer took several weeks before we heard back, but the results were extremely promising. They had identified that while all the Bitcoin had indeed been transferred to another wallet, not all the Bitcoin in this wallet had been spent. There was still approximately 36 Bitcoin remaining in there that had not been touched. Okay, so going back to my previous maths, I've got that at about $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in September of 2016. It's roughly around that. Anyway, of what had been spent, there were significant trails of evidence, which was used as the starting point of commencing legal action against the individual in question. So yeah, 111 of those Bitcoins had been spent then. So what, roughly $40,000. It's taken time and much of it is under non-disclosure, but what I can confirm is that an agreement was made to withdraw our case against him in return for transferring this remaining balance back to my brother's estate. Yesterday, our lawyer let us know that this has now been done. They're handling the technical aspects of this for us, but the upshot is that the cash equivalent of nearly 29 Bitcoins will shortly be transferred to my parents. This couldn't have come at a better or more needed time. The past 12 months with COVID-19 has taken a significant toll on them. Their business was up against the wall and they potentially stood to lose everything unless things turned around. So this cash infusion has taken away all that fear and stress they were living under. Okay, so this took this long. So they were getting, more maths incoming here, 29 Bitcoin in what, February of 2021? Now, the price of Bitcoin in February 2021 was $46,000. So they're getting 29 lots of $46,000. Wow, over $1 million? $1.3 million? My goodness. Anyway, back to it. This entire saga began with the premature death of my brother. It now concludes with him leaving behind a legacy of hope and optimism for our parents. Somewhere up there, I know he is smiling and cheering them on. In the end, you did good, Raf. And there we go, just a final note at the end, just to sort of, support my maths, which I'm doing slightly off the cuff here, so may not have been exactly accurate, but in 2014, it was worth $50,000 to $60,000. And then in 2021, it was worth $1.5 million. Yeah, I've got it at $1.3.5 million, which is just insane. What a cool end to the story, I suppose. So there we go. That is going to do it for this one. As I said, yeah, great end to the story. It's one of those very rare cases. The fact that it takes so long for legal things to happen and cases to occur actually benefits a party that normally would want things to happen pretty quickly. Like, you know, every single delay there was with the entire case, with the lawyers, etc., was actually just helping OP and his family, because that Bitcoin was just accruing more and more value. It's pretty ridiculous, but I suppose in a roundabout way, it was a good thing that it took as long as it did. 4.5 years later. I say it's a good thing. All this with the context that, of course, it's very, very sad that your brother passed away very tragically. But yeah, you know, as a passing gift to give your parents, your family, over $1 million, it's pretty cool. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on the new channel. I mean, it's not new. I've had it for a while. I've had other content on it before. But yeah, let me know what you think about trialing this out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story as well, of course. Really hope you did enjoy it. But for those of you watching right now to the end of this video, this channel, this sort of content is for you, the people that are really engaged, that listen and watch my stuff every single time I upload. And I want to keep doing it to the best of my ability, and I think that this channel might breathe a new bit of life into it. So let's see what happens. Yeah, as I said, hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn notifications on so you don't miss an episode. That's very, very important. And I'll catch you with the next one.